schnapps is already getting to me. How very dare you? Biology 101, that's how sex works. Hello, my lovelies. I am your host, the Charming Coquette. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Bodice Rippers. Without further ado, we are going to get right down to it and check to see what is in my cup. To see what kind of story we got going on today. Ooh, that is... You've guessed it, folks. Today's story is a Christmas story. A Christmas. I know I am putting this story out the day after Christmas, or 2 days. We'll see when I actually get this edited. But we've got some peppermint schnapps, a mug of hot cocoa, and a Christmas-themed story. Today's book is called To All Good Night, and it is by Donna Kaufman, Jill Shalvis, and Helen K. Dimon or Daimon? Not entirely sure. Anyway, I digress. So there are 3 stories in this book. It's a collection of short stories, and the back says, prepare to have your toes curled by some of the holidays' hunkiest heroes in this hot, hot, hot collection. We are going to go with the 3rd story, which is Helen K. Diamonds. Can you hand me the tape? 1 week before Christmas, Natalie Pritchard loses the naughty tape she made for her now ex-boyfriend. Only her nemesis, the sexy criminal defense attorney Spencer Donovan, can help. But can she afford his price? I am a sucker for a good enemies to lover story. Love, 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 love enemies to lovers. So, it is rather, much shorter than the stories that I usually do, because I'm usually doing full-length romance novels. But I thought this would be just a fun little holiday thing for all of us. Alright, so right off the bat, we open with dialogue, which is, I need to talk to you. That is the start of chapter 1. It's a pretty good beginning. Natalie is in Spencer's office asking for his help. But she's just sitting there in his office, like, glaring at him. And he's asking her how she got there. She says, I followed you. He says, from the garage downstairs? She says, no, from the courthouse. Which was over several blocks, through security in the lobby, up 14 floors, past his assistant Sue, and into the private office suite. She now knew Spence was not an easy man to stalk, but also, how did he not notice her following him all this time? That's just creepy. And apparently it was almost 2 miles. So Natalie needs Spencer's help for something, but she's being very cagey as to what, which to me doesn't bode well for the fact that you require assistance. So why are you being so unhelpful? You're the one who needs this guy to do something for you, and she's basically doling out information piece by piece. And we very quickly come to find out that Natalie is the ex-girlfriend of Spence's former law partner, Charlie, which the former is very recent. They're still in the process of splitting up their law, like splitting up their partnership and splitting up the law practice that they have together, which we will come to find out later that it is really Spencer's law practice. He brought Charlie on as a partner, but Spence is the one with years of experience and the money to back it up, and all the clients. The dialogue is very like, did Charlie send you in to talk to me? Why would you think that? Charlie's tried everything else to piss me off during the last 2 weeks. It was only a matter of time until he used you. No one uses me. And why would my coming here tick you off? Yeah, I wonder. Are you and Charlie fighting? That's an interesting way to put it. Fine. How do you think I should say it? We're dissolving our law practice. Charlie wants the office space and most of our clients. I want him to have neither of those. Sounds like a fight to me. And then just on and on and on. Are you going to sit? I think I'd better. It sounds as if Charlie forgot to share all the dirty little details of our partnership implosion with you. Meaning, you two are going out. As such, I assume you talk, right? Absolutely. That's why I'm here. Need love advice? And she's just not telling him about the fact that she broke up with the guy, which I'm like, lead with that, because as we'll come to find out, the issue is that she created an erotic videotape for Charlie before they broke up, but hadn't given it to him. And then during the breakup, while he was collecting a bunch of his stuff for a case he's working on, he accidentally grabbed the tape as well. So she wants to make sure that he doesn't watch it ever. It doesn't get out, like nothing. Which I agree. I wouldn't want an ex to keep such an image of me either. But she spends a good deal of her time in Spencer's office just dancing around the point instead of getting to what she needs, which is, I made a sensitive tape. It's in Charlie's possession. I really need help getting it back. Again, the dialogue is just... So we're back to that. What? Name calling. Which, she, called Spencer a lower than a blood-sucking parasite while they were in court. So she's really not off to a great start with this guy, because she's already been very, like, cross with him. But either way, I was angry with the way you handled your client in court. You hid that well. Can we get back to the topic at hand, which is you? Okay, I'll play along. What about me? I need your assistance. I bet it kills you to say that, pretty much. Since you admitted it, I'll be civil. Thanks. Is this help about anything in particular or just in general? A problem. Some specifics would help right now. That's the hard part. Is this supposed to be like snappy dialogue? Witty dialogue? I don't... Because, like, it really... Like, all I'm thinking is that she's just sitting there with, like, arms crossed, pouting, being like, me. I'm just gonna give you one-word answers, and you have to deal with it, even though I'm the one that needs your help. Me. Which... annoying. Natalie has finally told Spencer that she and Charlie broke up, and we get... Spence closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them again, the color had changed from chocolate brown to near black. So is he, like, really turned on by that information? Sorry, it's just, you know, people usually use, like, the color change to indicate mood and stuff like that. But usually in, like, romantic type settings, when your eyes are dark, it's because your pupils are expanding. Your pupils expand, besides just to let in more light, your pupils expand when you are aroused as well. So that's why people's eyes appear darker in romantic situations usually, because their pupils have expanded. But now we get to where Natalie has finally revealed to Spencer what it is that she is looking for. And it is the tape, obviously, that she made. And she's like, it's, you know, it's personal. And then Spence says, why do I think you're talking about something other than a movie? Spence's mouth moved, but every other part of him remained frozen. And I just think he's not very good at remaining impartial or impassive. I'm like, he's a lawyer. So a client revealing, so not even a client really, but even a colleague, I would think, revealing something about themselves that's a little bit sensitive in when they're like, I need help about something. He has clearly so much experience as a lawyer that shouldn't he have the wherewithal to act like this information doesn't faze him? Like, he should, like, even though he is a little bit intrigued, he should at least be able to be like, oh, okay, a personal tape of yours that you need back. Okay. As far from it as possible. Just how far? It's a video. I got that part. Of me. And I'm naked. Oh my god, the horror. Chapter 2 is now we're in Spence's perspective. Spence forced his gaze to remain locked on Nat's face. No way he could let his eyes wander after that comment. One sweep down her body and she would kill him. No doubt about it. But it was tempting. Ah! You mean that me, naked, on video? That's what I said. Yes. She picked that moment to stand up and take off her coat. The disrobing revealed a slim red turtleneck and black short skirt on a curvy body Spence had never noticed until that moment. How the hell was a guy not supposed to sneak a peek at that? It's probably like backwards, but I hate you, unprofessional. Like he's literally, his brain has basically short circuited. He's just like, naked, 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 boobs, naked, naked girl, boobs. Which, I mean, I get it. Women, right? Am I right? Like, girls. I think this stuff is stronger than I thought it was gonna be. Is that strong? That's kind of strong. Oof, for me anyway. Lightweight that I am. Spence wondered how, for the next moment or two, he was going to do anything else with Nat in his room. He cleared his throat and tried to wipe his mind clear of all disrespectful thoughts. Okay, this is not a big deal. We're adults. Fucking act like it then. Oh my god. So someone you work with and someone who used to be your business partner's long-term girlfriend has revealed to you that sometimes she is naked and maybe has sex and stuff like that. Like, yeah, no shit, bud. I'm sure you've assumed that about her due to the fact that she was dating your friend slash colleague slash partner thingy. But, like, then she reveals that, like, the tape is just of her. It doesn't involve, Charlie in any way. And, and he, before he can think about it, he says, "What are you doing on it?" The question slipped out before his internal filter could catch it. So he's like, "Why me?" She says, "I couldn't go to the police. I deal with those guys all the time at work, and the idea of them seeing me, of what they would say, well, you know." So, like, here's where I think Spencer should grow some compassion. Like, this woman whom he knows from both a professional, like, standpoint and also from a slight personal one, being, again, that she has been the girlfriend of his law partner, so he knows her in that aspect, that he should be able to be like, you know what? As a woman, she has every right to, you know, worry about, the way men perceive her at work and how they might treat her in such an unprofessional way. And I should, like, calm myself down and see her not just as a friend, but in the way I would view a client, with complete impartiality. Like, she hasn't even asked Charlie for the tape back. She hasn't even, you know, that they fought. He gathered up all of his documents and threw them in boxes and left, and her tape was accidentally there. But seriously, she can't be like, because she's supposed to be 29, so, like, she and Charlie are supposed to be around there, like, 30 or so, and Spencer's like 35. So she couldn't be like, "Hi, Charlie, so while you were collecting all of your stuff, you picked up a very personal tape of mine, and I would really appreciate it back. It is very private. It is some, you know," like, she could do the super less details, just say it's a personal tape, or she could even, like, make something up and be like, it's very personal. It's something that has to do with my family. I would prefer you respect my privacy, you know? But, like, she hasn't even done that. She hasn't even, like, "Hey, Charlie, you took something of mine and I need it back. It's a tape. It's got my handwriting on it. Just give it to me." He's like, "How the fuck do you expect me to get this tape back for you. And she says, it's simple. We steal the Declaration of Independence. And he's just like, I don't know how I feel about stealing, especially from my former partner and stuff. And then he says, and what do I get other than the potential of jail time and the promise of public humiliation, which makes me hate him a lot for that statement. She tries to like flatter him a little bit, and he's like, you called me a blood-sucking parasite and also a humorless prig last week. And she's like, my, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Also, her comments about being naked were imprinted on his brain. Dude, move on. Move on. She's an adult human woman. She is an adult human woman, and she has been naked on occasion. It is okay for her to have been naked on occasion. And then he's like, I still don't understand why you picked me. And she's like, because you don't care. Like, you don't care that I'm naked on the tape. It's not even gonna faze you. Which, au contraire, mademoiselle, he is so phased he can barely he can barely act like a 35-year-old man. She's like, that's different from being interested. You wouldn't show the tape to anyone or try to take advantage of me. Which just shows, like, she truly believes, she's like, you're a good person. You're not gonna be awful to me. You're not going to disrespect my privacy. I wish she didn't believe that about him. Because apparently he hasn't earned that. How did you come to that conclusion again? I can tell. Which goes to show how little you know about men. She blinked a bunch of times. What does that mean? I don't know a lot of men who would pass up a chance to see a woman naked. That's not true. She bit her bottom lip. Is it? It is. But you won't look. I don't know why you think that's the case. Like, why is he being so sleazy? Oh my god. He really doesn't have any reason to be such a sleazebag. Like, gross. Like, yo, if I went to a lawyer, like even one who is a friend of mine, like a guy friend of mine, I was like, hey, I may have, and I was like, hey, I took some pictures of myself naked for my ex. He hasn't seen them yet, but they are in his possession. I really need your help in making sure that they don't get shown to anybody else or that he doesn't keep them or anything like that. And he was like, I don't see why you think I wouldn't be interested in seeing them. I'd be like, okay, you horrible fucking person. They're arguing, or they're like, you know, they're doing their back and forth banter, I guess it's supposed to be banter. It doesn't really feel like much like banter to me, but whatever. Merry Christmas. And in walks Charlie. We get Charlie wasn't abusive or unfaithful, but their combination as a couple had proven toxic. Over time, he balled up her self-esteem and chucked it in the garbage. She started losing weight to please him. That accounted for the first 20 pounds. She owed the last 25 to stress. Which, yes, that is abuse. That is emotional abuse. That is mental abuse. So, yeah, that is abuse. The fact that someone she was with made her feel so emotionally worthless that she lost 45 pounds? Not for herself, but because of him? That's bad. So Charlie and Spence start fighting. Charlie's yelling and Spence stands up and kind of angles his body protectively in front of Natalie. And she gets a kind of like, oh, about that. Because she's gone through life with people assuming that she can take care of herself due to her size, back before she lost all the weight. Being the opposite of petite resulted in never being cherished or shielded the same way as thinner women. Some of her tiny friends viewed the male protective instinct as sexist. To Nat, it related to attractiveness and being worthy of affection, and to all the things she wasn't. The male reaction was normal, healthy, and not something she ever had the opportunity to either enjoy or find offensive. Which I don't even know where to start with this mindset. It's basically the same as okay. When I was a younger teenager, and I would hear or read older women complaining about being catcalled, I was like, stop bragging. Because I was 12 and 13, and I really didn't understand. But I had such low self-esteem, and I didn't know yet that my self-worth was not based on whether or not men found me attractive. That I just... Ugh. So I thought that being catcalled was this is approval. This means that I am worthy. Men find me pretty. And therefore, if men find me pretty, that makes me worthy. That was the thought process. But obviously, I got a little bit older, got catcalled. Not a fun experience. Truly awful, awful fucking. It makes you feel awful every time it happens. And yeah, same with this whole, her idea that, because she is still basing her self-worth on whether or not men find her acceptable. I've ruined my curl. Oh no. Okay. That works. Whatever. So since she's basing her self-worth in some aspect on whether or not men find her acceptable and whether or not men are interested in her, therefore she sees men seeing her as incapable of defending herself as something romantic, rather than being you don't need to jump in and fight all my battles for me. I'm a perfectly capable adult human being woman. Charlie's getting a little bit too nasty, and Spence tells him not to talk about Natalie in any kind of rude or derogatory way. And then he said, she's a bit too smart and a bit too big for you, isn't she? I'm like, he's literally a cartoon villain. What the fuck? And Spence is just apologize to the lady. Which, again, he's not good at being very professional. Because he could very well just be like, excuse me, Natalie is consulting me about something, and therefore she is a client. I'm going to ask you to not harass my clients. Leave my office. Very... Let's be grown-ups. Charlie leaves, kind of making a little... You don't know Natalie like I know Natalie. And Natalie's just gross. And as she's leaving, Spence looks at her and he's like, if you stop by his office. I took a break to read my webtoons, and now I've forgotten where we are. Oh well. It is what it is. That's just the long and short of it. Spence is like, don't you dare stop by Charlie's office, even though Charlie is offering you the sexy times. And Nat's like, duh, of course I wouldn't. And Spence continued as if she had not spoken. Why would you go out with a guy who spoke to you that way? And I'm like, has Spence never seen a toxic relationship? Ever? Or even an emotionally abusive one? He doesn't understand, how that whole dynamic works. That the reason, a person would stay with someone who talks to them or treats them that way is because their self-esteem has been crushed down, and so they feel that they really don't have any other option. You know, that's like one reason to do that. This story was published in 2008. So like, the whole time I'm thinking of this, I'm like, girl, if he keeps the tape and shows it to anybody, or like puts it anywhere public, then hey yo, you just sue him. But then I'm like, oh, it's 2008. Revenge porn laws are not a thing yet. Fuck. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. I was like, I can't. What did I write at the end of this? I can't wait to keep hearing about how Nat used to be fat. So that she has so many self-esteem issues that Spence gets to be like, no, you're beautiful. But Spence doesn't actually have to be attracted to a fat woman. He gets to be attracted to an acceptably curvy woman, but doesn't have to actually be interested in a fat woman, just a formerly fat woman. So now they're at the office holiday party, having lots of fun, and Spencer's assistant is talking to him and is like, you need to have more of the fun. And Spencer's like, I'm a grumpy lawyer, and I hate having fun. Grr. And also we get this description of his assistant, which is, at 50, 5'2", and about 200 pounds, Sue did not need the strange getup to attract more attention. Which I'm like, it makes me realize, like, I don't know if the author actually understands how weight distribution works, or what is actually heavy, like what would make someone look. Like, they might even be considered, I've heard this term used before, like a small fat. Which is where I get they're fat, but they're not the kind of fat that gets the amount of ire and hatred and like disgust and irritation that gets directed at them from society. So again, I'm like, I don't think this, they clearly think that, oh, this person is, if she's 5'2" and 200 pounds, she's super noticeable. I'm like, nah, she probably just looks like a regular 50-year-old woman who isn't super skinny anymore. And also his assistant Sue points out that all the female law clerks are looking at him and like, ee. And Spence is like, it's flattering, but he preferred being known in the courthouse for his legal talent rather than his bedroom skills. And por qué no los dos? Why not both? Like, you could be a whiz in the courtroom and in the bedroom. Your Honor, permission to approach the bench? That's not actually sexy legal talk. I would really appreciate if people could put some sexy legal puns in the comment section, because I would love to think of some. I am too inebriated to think of any kind of sexy legal puns. And then Nat is, of course, also at this Christmas party, and she enters in, and we get that light floral scent he associated with Nat hit him before she moved into his line of sight. And this pisses me off. This line pisses me off because this is the first we're hearing about it. We had a whole 3 chapters of Natalie being in Spencer's office, and never once is the way she smells mentioned. Which, it doesn't have to be, but if you're going to say that character A associates character B with a certain scent, and you're going to introduce these characters talking to each other within the first 3 chapters of your story, but you're not going to mention that he always associates this scent with that character? No, because clearly we would have had, like, while he's sitting there, during those first 3 chapters when he's sitting there being an absolute sleazy horn dog over her sexy body and thinking about it naked, somewhere could have been worked in, ooh, that light floral scent that he always associates with her. Because then we could have then instead of having to explain that again in chapter 4, we could have just had, you know, a light floral scent tickled Spence's nose. He looked to the side and there was Natalie. You're like, oh, you know, he's recognizing, he knows when she's there because of her perfume, cute. Nat really likes Sue. It says Nat treated Sue to a huge smile, one so genuine and caring that Spence stopped staring at Nat's slim navy skirt, the shapely legs beneath it to focus on her face, and I'm like, gross, you absolutely suck, Spencer. So like he's noticing, he's thinking about how like he has always like thought of her as having sad eyes and a friendly personality, and you know, but then they realizing there's something different about her. He doesn't know what it is. Is it a new haircut? And I'm like, she literally lost 45 pounds. That's huge. And Sue is just like, look at her, she's too thin. And I can't do the voice. I can't, because Sue was said to have a smoker's voice. So Sue is more like, look at you, you're too thin. I can't do it very well. Like, look at her, she's too thin. I could snap you like chicken. He'd heard the whispers in the courthouse about Nat losing weight. The petty talk about why and how much Charlie must like the change. I'm like, wow, everyone fucking sucks. But I'm like, okay, you didn't notice she lost the weight, but also before this, you heard everyone gossiping in the court. Like, how she had lost weight. So, like, what is it? You didn't notice she lost weight, and you're just like, oh, Natalie looks a little bit different, but I don't know what it is. I'm a stupid man, and I don't notice anything about people's physical appearance unless I am interested in them. Which is not true of men. That's so stupid to characterize them that way. But also he heard all the courtroom gossip, so, like, what is it? He didn't realize she'd lost weight, or he heard everyone talking about how she'd lost weight. Spencer's like, hey, Sue loves Christmas, and Nat's like, you don't? He's like, it's a day. Even though secretly he's like, he did. Because he has nieces, and he has family, and he loves being around them, so he loves Christmas. And he's like, it's a day. And she's like, wrong. He's like, did someone change the calendar and not tell me? And Nat's chuckled. It's a feeling. One that's much bigger than a date or a time or a few hours spent opening packages. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. So, Natalie goes over to Spence's house to talk about how they might go about stealing the tape and everything like that. When he answers the door, he's wearing regular just blue jeans and a sweater. Natalie's like, I thought he would wear suits to bed. And we get his gaze moved over her body, slowing the lower he went and causing her skin to flush in return. The unexpected warmth hit her just out of nowhere and refused to leave. Like she just got out of a relationship. Oh my god, she just got out of a relationship. They're talking and he's like going back and forth and she's like, hey, do you have a girlfriend? And he says, he ran into one of the sofas on the way to the kitchen. What? Like, classic comedy. Oh, I sure do love some good old slapstick in a romance story. Then he's like, alright, are you hungry? And her secret thought is, always. Like, right, remember? Because, inside of her is still the same fat woman. So she's always hungry. And they're talking more, and then he's like, we're not talking unless you eat. She's like, excuse me? Sue's right. You're too thin. I'm like, oh, fuck right off. Stop commenting on her weight. Just stop commenting. Stop telling her she's too thin or she's too big or what. Just stop. Have a disagreement and they agree again, and he holds out her hand to shake her hand, and this has happened before. They've shaken hands before, but suddenly, why did the idea of touching him make her stomach jump around and her muscles feel heavy? And I'm like, I don't know. Because literally, they have no chemistry. To me, no chemistry. They just trade like short answers back and forth with each other. And we know that before this, they had a kind of abrasive relationship, because she feels he doesn't do enough to help his clients, and you know, she helps clients with their parole and stuff like that. But so I'm like, so where am I supposed to see that they're falling in love? Because as far as I can tell, he's just like, wah wah wee wah, you are thin and hot now, and no longer are you in a relationship with my partner. So they kiss very passionately, and she leans back and she's like, wait a second. He's only interested in me because I'm thin and hot now, and also because I'm not dating this Charlie. Fuck him. I'm like, yeah. And while after they kiss, Spencer's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, for kissing me? He's like, no, for not putting the wine down first. You spilled it on my Christmas tree. And Natalie, they look at the branches with like wine dripping off of them, and the sight scared Nat enough that she dropped her glass in the shattering crash, followed by flying glass, made them both jump. I'm like, okay, drama. Like, I don't see how seeing that you spilled a bit of wine on a tree would make you go, oh my goodness, and drop a glass. That's contrived. While they're talking, the tape comes back up again, and he's like, you have a one-track mind. I'm like, of course she does. This tape could damage her whole reputation. I've decided what I want in return for my help. I want the tape. Horrible man. Apparently Spencer's reasoning for wanting to have the tape and see the tape are completely altruistic. He wanted to use the tape to show her that her body was beautiful and not something to hide or be ashamed of. Instead, he'd sounded like a lech and had scared her off. Worse, he pissed her off. I'm like, what other way could it be taken when you're like, I've decided what I want? The tape. With a private showing. Like, how else could that be taken? You creep. And she's like, is this where you collect on your deal with the tape thing? And he's like, this is where we forget about Charlie and the tape. And she's like, we should talk about this. And he goes, no. Which I'm like, no, talking's a good thing. Talking is a very good thing. I think if a lot more people would just discuss where their head is at and what they are expecting out of interactions, like romantic interactions and sexual interactions, then we'd be in a lot better place. But you don't understand. I'm not like the other women you've dated. I have stretch marks. The horror. Like, he's 35. I am certain that he has seen a woman with stretch marks before. Like, so, things start getting pretty hot and heavy. He does, you know. So, good for her. So she's trying to talk to him about why she made the tape and how, like, really she made it for Charlie, but really she was making it for herself, so she could, like, look at the tape and see, do I notice a difference in my body? Like, if I were to look at my body objectively, not like the distorted view I have in my mirror, would I see a change? Would this look different to me? So she's trying to bare her soul to him, and he's just like, I don't need the details of your time with Charlie. And, like, you don't need to try. You're just as sexy as you are. And she's like, I'm trying to describe... And she's like, I'm trying to describe to you what my headspace was when I made this tape. That I felt like I had to prove to myself and to Charlie that I was sexy. She's like, okay, so, like, you like me now, but I could gain all the weight back again. What then? He's like, you're still stuck on your weight. He dropped her hand. Damn it, Nat. That's who you were. I'm like, look, dude. She is always going to carry the way the world saw her and treated her when she wasn't conventionally attractive. Spencer goes to Charlie's and is like, we need to talk. And so basically, Spencer offers to Charlie I'll sell you my interest in the condo suite for a steep discount. Instead of coming up with all the money now to buy me out of the property, you can put up a small down payment and pay over time. He says, and we'll divide the clients and split the accounts payable 50-50. He's like, hey, look, there's one thing I need. I need to look in your files for this one case. It's not because I want to deal with and do anything with this case. Natalie had a personal home video that you accidentally took. And Charlie's like, oh, hold on a second. I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe you need to give me a little something better. I'm like, dude, your fucking law partner, who really holds more power than you do, is offering a one-time deal that, like, if he walks out and doesn't get what he wants, he won't offer this to you. It's offering to let you buy out the office space, have 50% of the clients and 50% of the accounts. I hope she's worth it. And Spence goes, you know she is. What if it doesn't matter? If you do this grand gesture and she dumps you anyway? That's the difference between us, Charlie. I'm not expecting anything in return, which... Shut the fuck up. Seeing as how you continuously, throughout this entire short story, have asked Natalie, what do you get in return for trying to steal this tape or trying to negotiate with your former law partner? You've continuously asked her what you would get, and have not only implied, but then said outright that you feel you have a right to know exactly what's on this tape and view it. View her personal, private property in return for helping her. Loathing, unadulterated loathing. He gets the tape, he goes back to Natalie's, and he's all like pacing the floor, and he's all like, and she's like, I have your Christmas gifts. Merry Crisis. But they start talking, he's like, oh, by the way, you're invited to my sister's Christmas dinner. And she's like, what, now? And he's like, yeah, now. And she's like, I wish you told me sooner so I could, like, do my hair, put on some clean clothes, like, you know, be presentable. And he's like, it's cool. And he's like, they're gonna love you anyway. She's like, yeah, they will. Once I explain that you told me about this last minute. Your sister's gonna side with me. You'll see. And he's like, how do you know? She's like, duh. She's a woman. He's like, oh, great. So 2 bossy women. I'm like, oh, kill me. So she leads him back to the bedroom. She's like, this is turning out to be a wonderful holiday season. He's like, the first of many, babe. Merry Christmas. Anyway, please like, comment, subscribe. That would be super, super duper chill. Hopefully I get this edited as fast as I want to so you all can enjoy this weirdness. Okay. Yeah, that works. I love you guys. Thank you for watching and listening to me as I be super duper weird. Goodbye forever, but not for really forever. Goodbye until the next time I feel compelled enough to make a video.